Hello and welcome back. This is the third video in the setting up a Raspberry Pi as a online RPG gaming hub. So far we've installed the Pi in the case and we have installed Ubuntu server on the SD card. Now it's time to start diving in to actually installing software on the Pi so it does something that we want it to do. So let's dive in. Alrighty, so we're going to use a program called mRemote-ng, and that is a remote connection piece of software. It has the advantage of being able to save your connections so you don't have to do things every time. And again, a link will be down below. Okay, let's launch mRemote. And here we go. We're going to create a new connection. So File, New Connection. And down here in the config box is where we need to be. So let's give it a name. We're going to call this one, let's just call it Pi4. All right, the description we don't care about. Icon. I tend to set all of my SSH connections as an SSH icon. General panel's good. Now we need our host name, or IP, and in my case, it's going to be 192.168.86.201. Remember from the last video, I set the static IP as this. Username and password, we're going to come back to in a minute. Protocol, we want to set SSH version 2, and that should be it for now. Okay, so what we do is double click on our connection up here and it will connect. The first time we connect to any new SSH host, we're going to get this warning, right? We know that we're connecting to our Pi and we know that we want to connect to the Pi. So we're going to say, yes, we accept the security risk. If you've installed Ubuntu server, the default login is Ubuntu for the username and Ubuntu for the password. And of course, the first time we log in, it's going to prompt us for a password change. So let's just change the password. Oh, we got to type in Ubuntu for the current password and the new password, which I will type in here. You can make up your own and it drops connection. So, before we reconnect, let's put in our username of Ubuntu and our password. Obviously, I'm not sure if this is super secure, but it obfuscated the length, so I think we're good. All right, so let's double click that, and we will automatically log in as Ubuntu with the password I gave it. So, a few things to know. We're running Linux and we're running 21.04, which was built on whatever date. Obviously, there have been some updates since then. So, let's type in the word clear and that just clears the screen for us. Let's run the update, which is sudo apt update. And this will run for a while, so I'll fast forward. Excellent. We have updated. And what we're doing here is we're updating all of the package information. Now we need to upgrade. So the command for that is sudo apt upgrade. And this will take some time. So after we say, yes, we want to continue, I'll fast forward. Here we have a message telling us there's a new kernel available. The currently running kernel, whatever it is is not the expected kernel version, and it gives us that version number. Restarting the system to load the new kernel will not be handled automatically, so you should consider rebooting. That's good practice after we update is to reboot, so we're going to handle that anyway. We can just say okay to that. What services should be restarted? Let's say all of them, right? So tab to get okay and enter. This is going to restart all of our services. Something to note about Linux versus Windows. You can pretty much restart anything without rebooting the computer. Okay. So here we have finished the update process. We've updated our packages. We've upgraded to the newest of everything. One last command before we reboot, and that is sudo apt auto remove. And what this is going to do is going to clear out all of the old packages that we aren't using anymore. And again, this will take some time. Oh, maybe not. Fresh install, so we're good. Okay. Sudo reboot to reboot the system. Remote ng is going to tell us that the remote side unexpectedly closed the network connection, which is fine. We're just going to give this a few seconds to reboot, and then we'll reconnect. To reconnect, you just right-click on the tab if you still have it open and click Reconnect. This will hit that IP address, 192.168.86.201, with our username and password. We're good to go. I might not have given it enough time. I bet I didn't. Oh, there we go. And we're back in. Okay. This step is somewhat optional, but we're going to type the word date. And we're going to get Wednesday, May 26th. And obviously we are in, not obviously, you don't know where I am. I'm in the Eastern time zone. It is not 2:16. It is 10:16. So we're in the wrong time zone, but we have the date correct. We can fix that by running sudo apt install http date. Like I said, this is somewhat of an optional step. If you don't care if your date and time is correct, then we're okay. Excellent. So we'll just type clear to clear the screen. But we do want to fix, I mean, we went through the effort of making sure the date was correct. Let's run through the effort of making sure our time is correct as well. So we're going to do time, date, CTL, space, list, dash, time zones. And this is going to give us a whole list of time zones. I said I was in America in the Eastern time zone. Detroit is probably the closest city to me. So America, Detroit, right there at the bottom. And we'll just hit enter a bunch to get through these lines. Hold it down, works even better. Control C gets us out of it. All right, so we're going to do the same time, date, CTL. And this time we're going to say set time zone America / Detroit. And we have to type in the password. There we go. Now, type clear. And if we type date, we are now running in the Eastern time zone. Success! We have an updated... Success! We have a Raspberry Pi running a fully updated Ubuntu server version 20.04. So what's next? We have to install some background packages that will enable us to do the fun stuff. We want to run Foundry. We want our Foundry service to start up every time the computer starts up, and we want it to stay running if it crashes, or well, restart if it crashes. How are we going to do that? We need PM2 and we need Node.js. Node.js is going to run PM2 and Node.js is going to run Foundry. So let's start with that, huh? We are going to type cd $home in all caps, and that will ensure that we are in our home directory. From here, we'll install Node. We're going to do that by typing curl dash lowercase s uppercase L https://deb.nodesource.com/setup. Setup. I need to learn how to type _14.x space pipe, which is that vertical line above the / sudo bash space dash. Enter. This is going to install Node.js, and it will take some time. I said install, I meant download. Now we're going to install Node.js by typing sudo apt install -y Node.js. And here we go. All right, so we have installed Node.js. Let's type. We can verify our Node installation by typing node -v. We are running Node version 14.17.0. Now, Node includes NPM, which is Node's package manager, and we can check to see what version of that we're running by typing npm -v, and we are running 6.14.13, so we're good there. We use it clear. That's my favorite command, I bet. Clear. It wipes out everything on the screen. We've just installed Node, so let's install PM2. We're going to do that by typing sudo npm install PM2 at latest space -g. Now we need the G because that flags it for a global installation. Again, this will take some time. Excellent. So PM2 has been installed. Now we need to type PM2 startup space system. Need to type systemd. And there we go. PM2 has been started up in, I believe, daemon mode, and we're given this command here. So, interesting thing about mremote nrg is that Control-V, Control-C don't work. What does work is highlighting text will copy it automatically, and right-clicking will paste it. So we're just going to highlight this here command, sudo path equals path, blah, 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 all the way here to home/Ubuntu. Remember, highlighting copies, and then right-click pastes. Click enter, and it will add PM2 as a system service, and it will start up every time the computer is rebooted, which is what we want, right? All right. So now if we type PM2 list, we are given, we're shown what PM2 is currently managing, which is nothing. So PM2 saves that information, and I really didn't need to do that right now, but you'll want it for later. So what now? Foundry. We'll install Foundry. To do that, we will first need to ensure we are in our home directory, and I'm pretty sure that we didn't change directories, but we'll hit cd $home, all caps, and we're going to make some directories. First, we're going to make the directory of Foundry. Learn to spell. We're going to make directory, mkdir, Foundry VTT. And we're also going to make directory Foundry data. Okay. So we've done that. Now we need to change the directory. So we're going to cd for change directory, Foundry VTT. We've created a couple of directories, Foundry VTT and Foundry data. We're going to install Foundry to Foundry VTT, and then all of our data, modules, worlds, all that, it's going to be stored in Foundry data. So we've changed directory into Foundry VTT, and we are ready to begin the install process. To do that, we go to foundryvtt.com. We create an account, which I already have, and you'll obviously need to purchase the software. We're going to go to the Foundry user account page, and under purchase licenses, we'll find our license key, which of course is obscured because you aren't getting my license. Ha ha ha. But we are interested in the download Foundry virtual tabletop software section. We want to download the most stable release, which is 0.7.10, and we want to do Linux for our operating system. We will create the timed URL, which is now copied to our clipboard. We will return to mnrg. Let's type clear to clear out the screen, and we are going to type the command wget space capital O space, and we can name this whatever we want. If you're following the Foundry install, it'll have you type foundry vtt.zip. I'm going to omit these VTT. So we get wget space dash capital O foundry.zip quotation mark, and then we right click to paste, and we have to do that quotation at the end, hit enter, and the Pi will start downloading the Foundry zip file from that timed URL that it generated. Excellent. So we've downloaded the zipped file, and we need to unzip that file. So we type unzip Foundry. Well, it's first, let's type ls. And that will list all the files in this directory. Foundry zip is what we have, right? So we're going to type unzip foundry.zip, and we'll get an error. Unzip is not found. And Ubuntu tells us sudo apt install unzip is what we need to do next. So sudo apt install unzip. After unzip is installed, we can use the up arrow to cycle back through our previous commands. Up arrow will go back in time. Of course, the down arrow to increment forward through our commands. So up arrow gets us back to sudo apt install unzip, which we've just done. So now we hit the up arrow again, unzip foundry.zip. Hit enter, and everything unpacks. After everything is done, I'm going to type clear again to clear the screen, and we can launch Foundry now by typing node resources. If I could spell resources /app /main.js space -- data path with a capital P equals $ home all caps /foundry data. Now, what we are doing here is we are running Foundry, but it's running as a process like in front of us. We lose our command line. Not a problem. That's what PM2 is going to do for us. But first, let's go back to the user account area of Foundry, and we'll highlight my software license code. We can test Foundry is running by visiting the IP address of the Pi, which is 192.168.86.201 in my case. Remember, it's going to be different for you. Colon 30,000. And this brings us to the Foundry activation screen. From here, we'll paste in my license key and hit submit. We have to agree to the terms of service. And here we are. We are in the Foundry setup. Excellent. Everything is working so far. Oh, we can check and make sure that we're on the most recent, which we are. Configuration if we want to set an administrator password. All this stuff. And I think we will set an administrative password. We have our data path, which is set to Foundry data, which is what we want. We don't have any worlds installed, so we can't set a default world yet. And I'm not concerned about giving it SSL not concerned about giving it SSL information. We want to save these changes. And of course, it says it will cause the server to shut down and require that you restart the server manually. That's fine. We needed to shut it down anyway to complete what we are about to complete. And we can see here on MNRG that shutdown is successful. Goodbye. Goodbye. Okay, so remember, up arrow gets us our command history, and highlighting. There we go. Highlighting. Once you release that left mouse key, copies. This is what we want. What we're going to do here is we're going to erase this line that I have just gone back to. We're going to do CD $sign home, all caps, right? That brings us back to our home directory. We are going to create a command, or we're going to create a script that PM2 will launch to launch Foundry. So we do that by typing nano, and then we give it a name. I'm going to call it Foundry Launcher.sh. Boom. And this opens up Nano. Nano is a text editor, and it's very simple to use. We are writing a script, so it starts with hashtag ! /bin/bash. This is going to tell the Raspberry Pi which script language we're using, which script whatever to use. There's different ones, right? There's ZSH, there's different ones. Stock is bash, stock is what we want. And we are going to hit enter to get a new line, and then just right click to paste. Excellent. Now, if we ran it from here, from the home directory, it's not going to work, because our line here, node resources /app/main.js, needs a little bit of changing. We need to tell it that we are in Foundry VTT /resources. Okay. To get out of Nano, we are going to hold Control and type O, and that will tell it to write out. We're going to write out Foundry Launcher.sh, and Control X. That gets us back to our command line. We have two more operations to perform on this script. Operation 1, we're going to make it executable. So we type chmod +x Foundry _launcher.sh. That makes it executable. Now we have to tell PM2 to start it. So we do PM2 start Foundry _launcher.sh. Before I hit enter on this, we're going to go back to our internet browser, and we are going to see what happens when we try to access setup. The site can't be reached. As expected, right? Okay, let's go back to our mremote ng, and we will hit enter to launch PM2. We can see here ID number of 0. That's how we're going to reference this. The name is Foundry Launcher, and it's running it. It'll show you memory used, CPU used, blah, blah, blah. Now, we want this to start every time the Raspberry Pi reboots, or if something happens to Foundry and it crashes, PM2 will start it again. So we type PM2 save. What this does is going to save the current state of PM2 so that it knows like this is the default that we want it to always run Foundry if something happens. And we can verify that Foundry is working when we reload the page. All right, and I gave it a password for administrator use. Type that in, good to go. All right, so we have installed Foundry. We have got Foundry running with PM2 always as our backup. This is pretty much all you need to do to install Foundry and get it working. You'll, of course, load up your modules and worlds and whatnot, game systems. So at this point, we are done with the Foundry install. You have a Raspberry Pi running Foundry, free to stop here, populate your modules, your game systems, create your worlds, import your art, your tokens, all that good stuff. We will get into that in a different video. If you want to take this a step further and be able to run the Discord bot that I created a week or so ago and the dice rolling app, we need to do a few more things. So if you're happy with Foundry and that's it, stop here. If you are interested in moving forward with the rest of this build, we'll do that in the next video. All right, see you next time.